we've all come in with a soul. So what if the woman's soul is an older soul and a stronger soul than the husband's? Maybe it would be wise to listen to her, because maybe her decisions might be a little bit wiser than the man's.
This is Collapse Club. I'm David Baum in Seattle. My guest is Emma Mary Gathergood. She's an ardent feminist and a psychedelic earth listener, also a retired mental health therapist and holistic life coach. Emma Mary and I met in Deep Adaptation, where she now runs a weekly workshop called Earth Listening. We spoke on May 6th. What is it that women have specially that men need to respect and be aware of?
Interesting question. Well, because they have a child, you can give birth, they are geared up to giving. And the giving comes from deep inside. It's not like a duty thing. So when a woman loves a man in that same giving way, she does not want to be taken advantage of and minimized and put down. She wants to be, oh, wow, this is great that I'm being loved like this. So a woman needs to be honored for what she gives and who she is. And the whole old-fashioned thing, men, being the boss and the little woman staying at home and doing as you're told and all this. It's nonsensical, because we've all come in with a soul. So what if the woman's soul is an older soul and a stronger soul than the husband's? Maybe it would be wise to listen to her, because maybe her decisions might be a little bit wiser than the man's. So it's that level, really.
Do you think men are out of control today?
I think they're lost. I think they're desperately lost. When I think back to my childhood, I'm in my late 70s, and my childhood, especially where we were in the Lincolnshire and the countryside in England, it was a balance that worked. The man went out to work and earned the money, and the woman looked after the children. I mean, that wasn't always the case. Certainly in cities it wasn't, but more in the country it was, and it worked. Then, because of crazy people like me from the 60s onwards, we've changed all that. Now, some men have not caught on. I mean, as I say, I started the first ever women's group back in the 70s. So women have been doing inner work and growing and becoming aware of who they really are, doing a lot of inner work. If you go to any groups, they're nearly always women. There's still very few men. So all us women, we expected the men to catch on quicker, and they haven't. And what unfortunately is happening instead, some of the younger men are going, not knowing this, I'm not being ruled by a woman. And there's a backlash. So instead of the men going, yeah, you're right, it's high time we grew too. We need to be transforming inside. We need to be working out how come we've got the earth in the mess it is, mainly men ruling. For goodness sake, we better look at what we're doing. And the women are leading in that, and there's lots of workshops one can go on. But the men don't. There's a backlash, and they're very lost. And so many young men, I mean, I have two sons now in their 50s, but so many of their friends have committed suicide, had drug overdoses. The young men are dying off like flies because they're so lost. And it's very sad, because the women didn't want to push the men over the top and make them lost. The women were just leading the way and saying, come follow us.
Do you think the men caused the problem of the earth, or do you think the problem of the earth pushed the men off the way?
Oh, interesting question. I mean, it's very easy to say, well, it's the men who did it because they made all the decisions that were crazy. But I think the women, we were too accepting, too complacent, too allowing. We let them. I mean, I was married for 12 years and did not have it how I wanted and accepted that. And then one day said enough and I left. But let's just say society lost its way.
So, what are we to do now that we find ourselves in this crisis and a worsening situation? What are we to do, Emma Mary?
Okay, well, as you know, I'm very interested in the earth and listening to the earth and run something called earth listening. I have a point that says if people had listened to the earth before, we wouldn't be in the mess we are now. So I maintain if the leading powers, the people in parliament and people attempting to run the country, listened to the earth for starters, they would get an awareness of how to do it differently. And I think if that doesn't ring true for people, then pray, go up to spirit, invite the Godhead to come in and make a suggestion. But it doesn't matter, but something bigger than us, whether we're talking about Mother Earth or we're talking about Great Spirit and the whole spiritual realms. Humanity is lost and we need a hand. And it's the arrogance of humanity that thinks it can go it alone. And that's why we're in the mess we are. So it's to have the humility to ask. And as the indigenous people asked, you know, and got in touch with their spirit guides, their ancestors, and lived for thousands of years sustainably. Whereas we, you know, we've messed up in such a, you know, a few hundred years, really. You know, we've so seriously messed up because of arrogance and because of saying, oh, the human brain has got it all. We just need a few more scientific discoveries and then we'll have got it. Of course, it isn't that.
How do we explain the terrible situation that we find ourselves in?
Because we've been given free will. Let's create these folks and let them give them free will. We're not going to tell them what to do. And the hope was that because inside they're good, they will, you know, come back to the good. It's like it's innate, it's within them to be good and to be helpful and to be kind. And what's gone wrong with the earth is nothing to do with God. We were given free will and we've messed up. You know, it's a bit like giving a bunch of kids. The teacher comes in one day and says, okay, kids, the rest of this afternoon, it's up to you what you do. I'm leaving the room. And then they watch them. And it might work out, it might not. But we act like kids, that's the truth of it. And we've got to grow up and we've got to take some responsibility for the mess we've made of everything and then become humble and start asking for advice, for a feeling of connection. I've got a great thing about the word connection. So many people don't feel either connected to the earth or connected to prayer and some being they pray to. So many people don't have either of those. And therefore they're all alone and they've no idea what they're supposed to be doing and they're completely lost. Maybe if they have a bit of psychotherapy, it might help them a bit, but they're sort of like a leaf in the wind. They don't know who they are and what life is all about. And there isn't this sense of, oh, I'm not sure what to do about this. Oh, well, I'll pray about it, or I'll go and sit and talk to my favorite tree and see what comes. It's just like, oh, I'll make the decision. I'll decide so and so, you know, off the top of their head, often without real deep awareness and reflection. And yeah, so that's my answer to that.
You lead a workshop for deep adaptation.
Yes, it's called Earth Listening. And we've been going 3.5 years now, every Friday without a miss. And every week we have a different theme. I mean, for example, last week's theme was Beltane, because it's the time of year. Beltane is the Celtic festival of May the 1st. And so we talk about what are the earth energies of this particular time of year. And we align ourselves to those earth energies, and we'll talk about that. And then I'll lead a meditation, and then I'll shut up and let people go quiet. And what I've done is invited them to go into their favorite place or a place not too far from home and connect to nature. And whatever the thing we're talking about is to go talk to nature. But I only do that in the context of already having made a friend of nature, because so many people go, oh, I love nature. I always play with my dog in the woods, or, oh, yeah, my friend and I, we always have a catch up when we're walking by the beach. And it's like, no, that isn't how you have a connection with somebody or something. You have to go in just you and it and get to know it. And another thing that I really feel is true is, if you love a particular woodland or your own garden, if you love it, the trees, the shrubs, the hillsides, they love being loved, so they're going to love you back. So there's a two-way connection. And so you build this up over time, this deep connection. And it is like another being that you can then go and have a conversation with, and you feel, you know, you can pour your heart out, you can sit and cry or get really angry and release it. And something will come into your head from this being, in my case, a tree being. I have a very strong relationship with one or two particular trees, but trees in general. And they're there for us. They want to help us. They love it when we do this. I've suggested that before the meditation, and then people go off in their imagination to somewhere they know and love and have this conversation and come back, and then we all share. And it's amazing how helpful it is, because even, you know, in meditation, we don't always have a good meditate. So sometimes people might not get anything, but they pick up on what the other people got, which is often completely different. It's just relevant to the person, but we share. And people always feel better at the end of it. We have a check-in at the beginning and the end, and people usually are really, really, they love it, and they come back week after week after week.
So this practice gives rise to an internal connection and a sense of internal peace. How does that benefit the world at large?
As I said, if we had only listened to the earth, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. So it benefits the earth at large, because the earth, you know, she's a being. Mother Earth is a being, a sentient being who is fed up with being treated the way she has. And so all these wildfires and everything, I really believe is a way of her trying to get our attention. Well, if she's got our attention and we're listening to her and we're saying, you know, what can we do? She's going to tell us. Nature will never harm you if you really listen to her and respect her, and don't panic if something goes wrong. Just be still and listen. It's like nature's our friend. And the fact that in recent years it appears otherwise is because she wants our attention. And I think if we give her our attention, we'll find ways through at least some of our crises.
That was Emma Mary Gathergood on Collapse Club. For links to Emma Mary's Earth Listening Workshop, please visit the Deep Adaptation event calendar at the link in the program notes. Here at Collapse Club, we offer 3 meetings a week where we talk about our experience of collapse. If you have no one to share with about this incredibly important topic, please visit our website at collapseclub.com and sign up for our newsletter. We look forward to seeing you. I'm David Baum in Seattle. Until we meet again, farewell.